You are listening to Something Rather Than Nothing. Creator and host Ken Vellante. Editor and producer Peter Bauer.
All right, so this is Ken Vellante with Something Rather Than Nothing podcast, and I have to tell you, it's a great pleasure to be having as a guest Buell Thomas, a friend of mine, extremely talented musician, and interestingly enough, went to the University of Rhode Island together, studied some great classes and listened to some great music, including his music at the time. He was in a band called Superbug. He's got a new a project he's been working on called Well-Bred Mongrels, and we'll hear a couple tracks. We'll hear a track from each one of those bands. But Buell, just wanted to welcome you to the podcast.
Much obliged to be here, and honored. Can't wait to have people hear the Well-Bred Mongrels and talk about growing up and enjoying the state of Rhode Island, man, because I haven't been back.
All right. So yeah, let's start off. The first question we ask is, what were you like as a young child? Were you dabbling with music, dabbling with art? What did you do? What were you doing?
Born and raised in Providence. Born in the same hospital as my mother, lying in hospital. My first instrument was a cello that my dad thought that I might like because that was his favorite instrument. However, I could not take carrying that thing to school every day, so I broke it. And I took some time off. I was about 7 years old when I started playing the cello. That lasted about a month and a half. And then when I was 9, I'm sitting in a classroom, and this really cool guy named Carlos from Fox Point comes in with a trumpet and a tattoo on his arm and starts playing. And I'm like, that guy is the coolest guy, and I am going to be a trumpet player. And that's when I started playing the trumpet.
So it's just kind of like lightning, like that, right?
Yes, it's my. When I talk to people about what to do with kids and music, kids know what they're going to play as soon as they see the instrument. You know what I mean? In other words, that's my instrument. I've been playing it for years. And if I could go back and change, I would have. I would have become a guitarist. I love the guitar and would have wanted to be like a rock guitarist. But I can't change the fact that it was love at first sight. And it's been with me since 9 years old, man. So
yeah, I love that. It sounds like the question answers itself, right? You know,
right.
It just comes to you.
It does.
Yeah, Buell. What forms of art have attracted to you? Both, obviously you're a musician, but
right.
both in the sense of maybe what you participate in or what you like to consume or enjoy within the art world. What's your jam?
Starting off, literature, man. From the time that I guess I was about 13, so I took the test to get into classical high school in Providence. Got in. The first summer that 9th grade, they give you a reading list. Well, they give you a reading list every year, but I remember reading The Hobbit. And The Hobbit changed my life forever because it was the most incredible thing that I had ever experienced. I mean, I still remember getting goosebumps reading that book. So throughout my life, I've always been into literature. When I came to New York, I've been lucky enough or blessed enough to go to every single museum, and I love paintings. I've gone to every museum to see exhibits, and I'm just in love with the whole painting thing of aspect of art.
Yeah, I think we definitely share that. I'm a huge fan of literature and adore painting.
Yeah.
And it's interesting for me because I've studied, deliberately studied an intense amount of literature over the years.
Right.
But within school, and then with painting, it's all been kind of like self-taught, and
Right.
but both passions of mine as well, and it's great that you have that same level of enjoyment,
Yeah.
probably that I do, that passion for it.
Right.
So what is art, Buell? Like in your opinion, what do you see? You've heard of paintings and music and such, but when you look at something, you say, that's a beautiful piece of art. What are you saying?
I think that art reflects life. And it reflects it in a couple of different ways. It reflects it in a real way, whereas we get a real image of life, society, history, what's going on in the world. And I think we get a virtual where we see somebody's own image of something that might not look anything like the real image or even the real thing. So I think what artists do in all forms of art is to show what they see real things as. Sometimes you get an image that looks exactly like a tree. And then sometimes you get an image that looks nothing like a tree, yet it's the artist's image of a tree. So we're always, as artists, we're always trying to show what we see in real life. Am I making sense when I say that?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, go ahead.
It's everywhere. Art is everywhere. Nature produces art. Humans produce art. It's just, you look at a place like New York City, it's everywhere. The graffiti, the murals, we've got museums. If you look in Rhode Island, it's the same thing. If you walk along a beach, the way the sun is hitting the ocean, the way the sunset rises, no sunset or sunrise is the same every single day. You know what I mean? So, art is just, it's how the world is visualized.
And right now, the last few episodes of the podcast I've been recording, of course, with the coronavirus pandemic, with the huge restructuring of the way we're living and kind of anxiety around that. And I think one of the things that I've been very interested in talking to artists, or within the role of artists, is you're there in the Bronx, right?
Right.
And it's kind of an intense scene. Can you, as an artist, as a performer, can you take a swing at the question of what the role of art and music is right now within that context, within the pandemic?
I think it's complete and utter distraction, because basically the world is, or in New York City, we are in full on lockdown, quasi quarantine, and we're basically shuttered. And any news that we get, any announcements that we get are always somebody's sick, the numbers of people who are being diagnosed with or, testing positive for the coronavirus. It's everywhere. And so I think art needs to be a distraction for us. whether it's enjoying it, listening to music, or just doing it, even if it's not something that you do every day, but to do it to just distract yourself from, a pretty much grave situation.
Yeah, yeah, and so you find yourself the role. Do you think it's a little bit more of a role of the distraction than normal, like that we need the distraction of the arts right now?
Definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely. So about 2 weeks ago, a large number of people in New York were not permitted to go to work. If you think of the everyday ritual that a lot of New Yorkers have, which is to wake up, quickly get dressed, get on the subway, and go to a job. Takes up a lot of time, but it distracts you from being a creative person. You see what I'm saying? In other words, it's like you turn into a robot. Like a funny story, like about 2.5 weeks ago, I have been taking the train for almost 2 years to Lower Manhattan for my job. And same thing, every single day, get up, take the kids to school, get on the train, go to work, without fail. 2 weeks ago, my wife says, "Listen, man, I really don't think it's smart for you to take the train." No, but I gotta go to work. Where am I going to park? I got to drive. I'm not going to drive to the city. It costs such and such amount of money. Finally, she's like, "I'm putting my foot down. You're driving."
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? And so what, to make a long story short, it takes you out. This has taken us out of our everyday ritual, especially in New York, which is like everything is centered around going to work and making money. And now we're home. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So now you need to be distracted. And then every time your phone bleeps or you turn on the TV, it's another report of somebody who's tested positive or passing away. So,
Yeah, and thank you. I find myself it's curious. One question that's popped into my head as far as like with music is last night I was listening for a while and really enjoying kind of my tangent of music that I enjoy of doom metal, right? It's like going right into it, right into the monsters, right into the aggression, right into the confusion.
Right.
And then I think about, like, it feels like I'm going into that, but then at other times I know that the music I'm picking is for a very different reason of being like, this sounds good, it's upbeat. Let me just, go along with this. So I find myself kind of moving back and forth between like immersing myself into some of that darkness and then kind of like pulling back and being like, all right, it's time for some Taylor Swift, something a little bit lighter, something a little bit,
No, it's music is something that is, there's so much of it that you really can't quantify or qualify. It's like we all get certain feelings and emotions, but we listen to music for completely different reasons. We might listen to Led Zeppelin one day to get riled up. We might listen to death metal to get riled up. And then another day we might listen to the same music to chill us out. And it might be that you listen to Joni Mitchell Blue because you want to feel relaxed. But also, sometimes you listen to Joni Mitchell's Blue and it gets you to a point where you could go out and run a marathon. You know what I mean? Like, the thing about the triggers that, and this is the thing about art, it triggers all these different in your senses, and I mean, thank God there is so much art and out there. or
Yeah,
else.
I completely agree. So, hey, let's go to the way back time travel machine.
Yeah,
The next podcast after you, I got a really brilliant physicist who's going to be like looking at like we're going to talk about time travel and why there's something rather than nothing and
right,
all this stuff. But let's do our own little time travel here. Going back to maybe about 25 years ago, your
right,
band that you're in lead on with Superbug at the University of Rhode Island.
right on.
As you know, I love the music that you guys produced. A lot of my friends
Right.
did. Got to see you live. So can you take us back a little bit to your experience, you know, back at the University of Rhode Island, putting together the band, and just tell us the story of the band and what you were up to.
Right on, man. Basically, Superbug started on Caswell Street. It started in an apartment right across from the IGA and the big parking lot. And so I was rooming with Mark Archambault, who was the guitarist in the band.
Yeah.
And every Saturday, he would have Craig come over, and the guys from Sub Gum Soup, and they would jam. And so eventually I started to just get involved with them. I started playing, jamming with them on the horn. Craig asked me to, and then also singing. Craig asked me to sing with Sub Gum Soup. So I started off singing with them. I was going to go do a recording with them, but it never materialized. And then Mark had started Superbug around the same time, and then said, well, if you're not going to be in Subgum, why don't you come sing with us? And literally, that's how the band began. So we went through a couple of different lineups. We recorded Fitness, which was the first album. Our first show was in Newport. It was like an open show, and that's where we met. Remember Dave Joy?
Yes.
We met Dave Joy from Uber Alice, and we did another album with Ron Kroll on drums, and then we finally got the final lineup with Rob Verdi and Bill Lawing, and the rest was quote unquote history. I mean, the experience, I could do a whole podcast on that. You know what I mean? And so it took us through 1995, and we won the WBRU Rock Hunt. We recorded 4 albums, and I mean the whole scene of the Rhode Island music scene was so tight knit and powerful that, I mean, it's an experience that I can't ever forget, and never will forget. And the people that we met, the people that we played with, is just something that I can't. It's hard to even talk about it. Unfortunately, we lost Bill Lawing before we could reunite. But like I said, I don't. It was an experience that it's hard to rope into a couple of sentences. You know what I mean? So.
Well, you know, one of the things is I think a lot of people who experienced the band, experienced the music around that time were just really excited about it. It was a great experience. It was a shared experience of both the enthusiasm and the great music that you guys were playing. I think it was special, and I think that's what's cool about it. For everybody who's listening, we're going to have a track at the end of this episode from Superbug. Buell, right now you're working your latest project's Well-Bred Mongrels,
right?
And let's talk about your let's talk about that project and what you've been up with that.
That project basically got off the ground in about 2010. So I when we broke up as Superbug, I came down to New York and studied at City College. And then I played around the city with various other people. I sat in with people mostly. And then I met a man named TJ Swan, Joe Carter, who had a recording studio on 58th Street. I had a conversation with him that I had songs that I wanted that I'd been meaning to record. And I went to his studio, which was a museum of analog equipment. And basically, he and I sat down and arranged an album and recorded it in his Velvet Swan Studios. I recorded 10 songs with him and then put it out on vinyl. I pressed 500 copies of that. And then it's also on SoundCloud under The Well-Bred Mongrels. I did a couple of shows for that album, and then unfortunately Joe passed. So I was sort of left not with nowhere to turn, but I decided that I was going to start doing everything myself. So I recorded this album basically by myself, and I have 12 songs that I released 6 as a volume 1, and I'm going to release 6 more as a volume 2.
Well, yeah, thanks for catching us up. Hey, Buell,
yeah.
Right now I want to play a track, one of your tracks called
Cool.
Real Thing. We're going to cut into that right now. I'll pick up the chat after we play it, all right?
Okay, man.
The struggle is real. The struggle is real. Grounded, and we like this place that you call home. Founded, and we like to call this place our home. Oh, divine, yeah. In your name we'll stake our claim with this here totem. Struggle is real. Struggle is real. Intertwined by a lease on this here spit of land. Oh, divine. So we'll praise and thank you with our band. Struggle is real. Struggle is real. Transplanted, transform, reform is a
But you still got the groove, brother, right?
Oh man, that was fun. I've never listened to it like in that. That was fun.
Yeah, it's a good groove. I love that track. You know, it's I always really enjoyed your vocals, and my mind, I don't have it pinned down yet, but I just like hearing like the various influences that are going in there. The jazz, I hit a little bit of Stevie Wonder, a little bit of that funk groove. You know, I'm digging on that.
Well, that's the thing that, you know, coming from Superbug and the types of people that we grew up with in Providence and in Rhode Island, and the mix of cultures, man.
Yeah.
Even when and I have to give props to all the members of Superbug, because they're my boys, man. I have to say hi to Chris Manchester, and I have to say hi to Mark Archambault and Rob Verdi, and rest in peace to Bill.
Absolutely.
But all that is what began with Superbug, and if you listen to, and people are going to listen to Sovereignty, and the same thing, we had all these influences coming together as one, and it's something that has never left me, man.
Yeah, and I definitely know what you mean by the influences. You know, I grew up next door in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, so we might have ran past each other. But
a great town.
Might have even ran past each other.
Great town. People don't even know how great Pawtucket is. It's the same thing. There's so many great people came out of Pawtucket. So, you know, it's Rhode Island. Rhode Island, people don't realize that Rhode Island is a heavy, heavy place for music, man. It's heavy. It's just as heavy as a place like New York. in its own way. It's like there's so many influences there, man.
Oh yeah,
You know.
yeah. So so a big question behind all this, and you've been a creator, musician, and been making art for quite a long time.
Right.
Have you ever asked yourself why you create?
I have not really ever asked myself that. I've only been thankful that I do. It's just something that I felt like I had to do. I went through a period of time where I did not have any direction, and I remember I was sitting somewhere I was living in like South County, Narragansett. My dad came down. I was like about 20, 21 years old, and I hadn't played my trumpet in years, like 3 or 4 years, So he comes down, and we go to the Willows, the Twin Willows, for fish and chips.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And in his truck, he had my horn. I'm like, and he just handed it to me, and I'm like, what? Why? He's like, I don't know. Maybe one day you'll play it again. And I started playing that. I met some, it started the whole creative process with wanting to write music, to be around people who were playing music. And the next thing I knew, I was doing it.
Amen. Amen.
You know what I mean? Have I ever asked myself, do I want to create? I have to be honest, or the reason why I create, I do not know.
Yeah.
I've never asked myself that question, and it's as simple as that.
Yeah, just the way things have developed.
Yeah.
That's a big question. I got an even bigger one for you.
Sure.
Why is there something rather than nothing?
I thought about the title or the name of the podcast, and of course I started messing around with the song and some simple lyrics, and that's what I had in my notes, and I just wanted to read them to you.
Amen.
So give me 1 second. So great minds that idle and neutral do nothing and decay. Ho-hum, oh well, ho-hum, another one that got away. Ho-hum, oh well, ho-hum, another one that got away. People of the world, be vital. Create something today. And that's my present to Ken Vellante. It's something rather than nothing. That's what I believe. I believe that the idle mind is the devil's workshop, brother. Do something. That's what my father always used to say.
Buell, I received your gift in totality. I knew you'd have something special for me, and you came through.
And I'll send you the musical arrangement because I can't send it over the phone.
That's fantastic. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Hey, we got one more question.
Right on.
And this is a way for the folks that I talk to, my guests, artists, to lay it out for listeners to be able to connect with, whether it's you, your music, where do they go, where do they look, where do they listen? Can you help folks along?
I am on SoundCloud under the Well-Bred Mongrels. That's the album I recorded with TJ Swan. The Well-Bred Mongrels, the latest music is on Spotify, Apple Music, Bandcamp, which is the most killer service, and people need to know that Bandcamp takes maybe like 0.1% of all the money that comes into the artist. Most of 99% of the money goes right back to the artist. So it's a great company, and hopefully we'll be seeing us soon somewhere in the Rhode Island area when this whole coronavirus thing decides to leave us alone.
Yeah. Well, and thank you so much for that. And yeah, the Bandcamp, I've enjoyed. I've gotten a lot of music that way. And what I really appreciate about Bandcamp, for me, the kind of ways I used it to kind of supplement all my other listening is that, bands that you wouldn't be able to find or connect to around the world, they're right there getting their stuff out there. And also, I went on a deep dive into some actually very good quality Pink Floyd bootlegs that showed up on Bandcamp.
Really?
Kind of, yeah, just some concerts, of 1978 in Boston, and just listening to different versions. So that'd be a great place. Everybody can find the Well Bred Mongrels on Bandcamp.
Just another, I forgot to mention the. We're also on Facebook. We have a web page, wellbredmongrels.com.
That's great. And so you have a dedicated website, as you mentioned.
We do.
There. Yeah.
I've completely enjoyed speaking to you, and before, I know, and I feel like there's so much more to talk about, dude.
Well, Buell, you didn't know that, being a guest initially lays the groundwork for, episode number 2. So you're obligated. You're obligated in that way.
Well, because the thing is like speaking about the whole like history of music from like 1991 to 94. You could do a whole podcast of just 91 to 94 in Rhode Island.
And I think that's a fantastic idea. And you mentioned it's a small state, tight knit community.
Yes.
A lot of great art coming out,
yes.
and in the scene. Yeah.
But
absolutely.
I digress.
No, hey, Buell, I'm gonna play everybody. I'm gonna play Superbug. Sovereignty's the name of the track. Hang on, Buell, because I'll probably yell and make a couple exclamations after we're done listening to this.
Okay, all right.
But let's get into that track right now. It's a great track.
Okay, man.
Everything is so agreeable.
That's the bug,
Right.
man.
Huh? All right,
Yeah.
I'm going to say it now. Rock and roll is going to save us.
Yeah, it will.
Rock and roll is
Music
gonna save us.
will save us.
Everybody, Buell Thomas, Superbug, and Well-Bred Mongrels. It has been a great thrill and pleasure, Buell. I
Yep.
want to thank you so much for joining us.
And likewise, brother, it was an honor to be here. We'll talk soon, I hope.
Take care now.
All right, man.